All right, the Corvette clock is a little bit off, but it's all good. Hope you're blessed. Hope you're blessed. Glad you're here. Man, we're going to have a good time tonight. I am still in recovery, man. I wore some dress shoes yesterday for the first time trying to shift on that Corvette, and I agitated my foot. I only mention that because I get a little frustrated because I like wearing my shirts and ties, especially in the winter, wearing my stuff. But anyway. Love you. Glad you're here, beloved. We're going to have a good time tonight. I got some great stuff for you. God is good. I actually started about a minute late because I'm looking at the Corvette clock, but I was also praying. So I just kind of somewhere else. But anyway, as always, welcome to the Urban Apologetics channel. Thank you for hanging out. As always, just ready to get into some good stuff. I'm your host. I'm excited because this is just going to be so encouraging, and it's going to help you be the smartest person in the room as always. This is going to really help you get there because you're going to hear some names and things today, some connections you may have never made before of just showing just how big, and I'm getting ahead of myself, how big HBCUs are, But anyway, you're hanging out in the man cave with the knowledge junkie during Black History Month, and we are celebrating all of the great things. Like I told you, there are things we've had to struggle with in order to be successful and all that. I'm not dealing with any of that unless it points back to what, I want to talk about successes. Yeah, there's some HBCUs we're going to talk about tonight. There are some that are struggling financially, and I'll make a little bit of a plea, but the point is that they exist, that they exist and what they stand for. And I got some personal stuff to share with you tonight. Sorry, my whistle's not wet, so just kind of working on that. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to dive right in. This stuff is really, really good. Let me get my music up. There we go. Setting the mood. I've got this passion fruit banana candle in here tonight. Oh my goodness, the aroma in the room is just conducive to teaching. Black History Month story time. We're gonna get into some stories tonight. I get to tell some of my own, some things that I have experienced, and I think it will bless us as we look at heroes and heroines, not only in the past, right? Let me put this up a little early. this quote by Marcus Garvey that I keep using. A people without the knowledge of their past, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. And that is absolutely true. If you don't know who you are, you don't know where you came from, then you don't have a strong foundation. Well, tonight, one of the things we're going to do as we talk about HBCUs is we're not just going to talk about what's happened in the past. We're going to talk about people that you may not know graduated from HBCUs. After we do this recap, man, we're gonna do 2 sections of them, and it's not all of them. My next video is going to have more of them, because there are many people that are right around us that have accomplished great things that came out of HBCUs, and I unfortunately have only had the opportunity to be a chaperone on a black college tour. But knowing what I know, I wish I'd gone to an HBCU. I really, really do. I'm just fascinated by, the atmosphere, what they learn, the way that they're talked to and treated, just the whole feel from that experience. All right. So, recap. The Freedmen's Bureau was set up by the government. They received funding from the government, and they provided, and I put this in another video, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time with this, but, like 21 million meals, helped set up, well over 1,000 schools in the South, helped along with the troops to make sure that, people had their rights were exercised, 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment. I talked about the disinterested benevolence. I talked about the Christians in the North that were coming down and helping in a variety of ways the black folks that are in the South. They were calling them refugees and helping to lift these people up. But in a very short period of time, this hunger for learning, these people were, I'm going to show you some stuff tonight. These schools that are starting right after the Civil War, it's almost like impossible. In a sense, that schools would be starting so quickly. But there was such a hunger for knowledge. White teachers and black teachers coming down from the North. Schools, black schools in the South being better than the ones in the white schools that were in the South. Didn't care anything about segregation. They were doing great. And money being poured in. And when it was questioned, hey, are they learning like white kids in the North? As if God gave 2 different brains to one. Anyway, they had to work their way through that stuff, and we still do. But anyway, so they tested them, dressed them up differently. They knew that they needed to make sure they looked right when these folks came down to test them. And they were on par with the average white kid in the North. And adults were doing the same thing. Just people just hungry to read for knowledge. And it was working. To the point that there ended up becoming a need for higher education. All right? Now, I want to get ahead of myself here. Before I get to that, I got something I need to show you. In between me, one side you see Southern Normal, the sign there, and the school on the other side. We've talked about this before. But I had a conversation with my mother after the show on Monday, and she was explaining to me that the Dutch Reformed Church, who I'll actually be speaking to in Chicago in a few days, at their college there, the Dutch Reformed Church came down and they didn't start the school, but financially supported the school, and would come down and visit and gave scholarships. And two of the scholarships that they gave, as my mother graduated, she was one of those people. And so she went to Northwestern. As a matter of fact, I've got a Northwestern jacket not far from me now, and I would play around with the camera if I thought I might not cut something off. But just a moment for me of great pride, right? But also knowledge that the church was so active. And not just one church, but I'm telling you that my own mother was affected. These normal schools, Southern Normal, I've explained this before, and then I gotta go. These Southern Normal schools, they were teaching schools, teacher training schools, so that these teachers could go throughout the South. And there were cases where they didn't even have teachers. Somebody could read, but they didn't have official teachers. They were trying to find one that could come in. The hunger for learning was so great. But these normal schools were set up in the South so that people could be trained so that they could go and teach. And my mother went to one of those schools. Praise God. All right. The history of HBCUs in America. We're going to go a little bit deeper here. We talked about this a little bit last week, but we're going to go a little bit deeper here. Let me read this to you. That was the title of the article is there. Hold on. Make sure that I give credit where credit is due. Okay. APM reports. They write some other stuff, but they wrote an article on this. Rather than integrate their public institutions, talking about colleges now, many Southern states created a completely separate set of institutions serving African Americans. Thus were born many of the South's public black colleges. Because there was a command from the government in the 1890s. Now, we're going to see schools that started before then, but in the 1890s, the Second Moral Land Grant Act, specified that states using federal higher education funds must provide an education to black students, either by opening the doors of their public universities to African Americans, or by establishing schools specifically to serve them. So this is a part in that time. That's where there quite a few HBUs were started then. Many had already started right in the middle of your construction. We'll see that in a second. But the understanding here is that this is law. And many of the lands that HBCUs sit on now came from this act and came from the desire for the schools to be separate, black and white, which in the end is beneficial. I've got this short video I want to play for you, and we're not going to talk a lot on the other side, but I just want to reinforce some of the things that I've already said.
The very first HBCU in the country was Cheney University. The second was the University of DC. The third was Lincoln University. And the first independent HBCU funded and founded by black people was Wilberforce.
Since 1837, more than 100 historically black colleges and universities have been founded in the United States. Most in the half-century following the Civil War, and most in the South, where 90% of the black population lived until the start of the Great Migration. These institutions educated the vast majority of black college graduates, intent upon building a new future for themselves and for the race.
In 1881, Booker T. Washington is called from Hampton Roads, Virginia, where he's been a student and is now the most eminent of the graduates who are now working at Hampton. And he's called to open a school in rural Macon County, Alabama, Tuskegee.
All right, just when I need a dog mad at somebody outside. That's what happens when it's live. Okay, so HBCUs are birthed. Many of them are birthed. Places where black folks can go to school, not just learning to read, but go to college. Get a college education. And for the most part, they're still there, still functioning, still educating, some expanding, getting to the point to where, there's a time came where, people wanted to be in the medical field, to be lawyers and all of that. And initially, they just taught some basic stuff. Then they got into liberal arts, and then like Howard University, they got into some deep stuff and became one of the best medical training institutions in the United States. Great progress, man. I mean, absolutely great progress. Now, what I want to show you now, well, let me make sure you know where this article came from. The experience.org. We're going to show you quite a bit here, and I just want to make sure that you know that that's where this is coming from. So here's some people, some of which you're going to know, that have done great things, and all of these folks went to HBCUs, and like I said, this is the tip of the iceberg. Bob Hayes, Florida, A&M University, first and only athlete to win an Olympic gold medal and a Super Bowl. Lionel Richie, I don't need to say anything else right there, do I? Is there anything else I need to add? Maybe you're too young to know that he was with the Commodores or something, but come on, man. If you watch American Idol or anything else, listen to his albums, all of the Grammys that he's won. Dimitri Stockton, North Carolina. Oh, I'm sorry. Lionel Richie was Tuskegee, and he's still known well there and has donated very much so to Tuskegee. North Carolina A&T State University, chairman, president, and CEO of GE Asset Management. I mean, some of these folks, even if you don't know their name, the stuff they accomplished. Sylvia Trent Adams, Hampton University. Current acting Surgeon General of the United States, went to an HBCU. And this is, I don't know what this is going to do for you, but I've already read through this and it just thrills me. Shannon Sharp, come on, man, Undisputed, it's on TV Monday through Friday. Savannah State University, former NFL tight end. He's also got a ring, doesn't he? Felicia Rashad. All right, The Cosby Show, and some other stuff she did. Howard University, actress, singer, and stage director. That's another one. I didn't need to read that. John W. Thompson, Florida A&M University, first African-American chairman of Microsoft Corporation. Are y'all listening to me? This is just Wilma Rudolph. Now, I remember her, Tennessee State University, which is still known for track and field. Tennessee State University, world record holding Olympic track and field champion. Gee whiz. Kasim Reed, Howard University, mayor of Atlanta, Georgia. Yolanda Adams, Texas Southern University, award-winning gospel singer. Joyce M. Roche, Dillard University, CEO of Girls Incorporated. Dr. Deborah A. Cole, Tennessee State University, president of Citizens Bank in Nashville, Tennessee. It's just the tip of the iceberg. Langston Hughes, Lincoln University, poet, social activist, and playwright. Whale, who I don't know, but God bless this brother, right? Bowie State University, award-winning rapper. Wanda Sykes, Hampton University, comedian, writer, and actress. Marlon Wayans, Howard University, actor, comedian, screenwriter, and film producer. You can't, this is just so beautiful. It really is. W.E.B.Dubois went to Fisk University. We're going to talk about Fisk in just a few minutes. African-American scholar, activist, and NAACP co-founder. Toni Morrison, Howard University, novelist, Nobel Prize winner, right? I mean, I don't know if you might be too young to remember Toni Morrison and the accomplishments, but my goodness. Ben Wallace, Virginia Union University, retired NBA athlete, and he used to talk about that he was from an HBCU. He was very proud of that. Aletha Gibson, Florida A&M University, first African-American tennis player to win Wimbledon, French, and U.S. Open titles. Now, that's something that you should actually go to YouTube and take a look at. Earl G. Graves Sr., Morgan State University, founder of Black Enterprise magazine. Now, I may not get this name right. I can get the last one right. Susan Kelechi Watson, Howard University, television actress, famous role, This Is Us. Tom Joyner, Tuskegee University, radio host. I was just listening to some Tom Joyner stuff just the other day. Yandy Smith, check this out, Howard University, CEO of EGL, author and film producer. Up. Those are repeats. Wait a minute, did I do that twice? Sorry, just curious. I did. All right. Now I want to talk to you a little bit. I've got some more of them. But I want to talk to you about my own personal experience. So we go on this black college tour. We've got two, Greyhound style buses. And this is not in the order of where we went. But we went to Tennessee State. Each place I went, there was something that impressed me in addition to how they rolled out the red carpet for us. Treated us like this was, not like a recruiting, please come here, but explaining what that experience would be like for these kids. But at Tennessee State, the tour was great. The administrator that took us around, all of that was great. But my strongest memory is not of the tour. Beautiful facilities, beautiful facilities, and I'm sure it's even better now. But it was sitting in the lobby as we were waiting and listening to students, kind of in the student hall, and listening to them talk about literature, listening to them talk about, their education, not silly stuff. I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain, but I've experienced that as a professor, yes. But most of that's online. I've experienced that. There was an AP class where I was in that class with seniors, And they came in, and I told them that they could, once they got their work finished, they could do whatever it was they wanted to do. Well, their work was actually done. And they sat around discussing novels, different characters and aspects of what they pulled out of novels. That's what these young people were doing at Tennessee State. Now, I know somebody that's going there right now, and need to send him a little money, send him something in the fall. It's time to send him a little something else to bless him, keep him encouraged, so he can buy himself a sandwich, as we joke and say, but something that will bless him and keep him going. But that was what really impressed me there. All right. First part of this is, I just want you, please, to catch the date. The Civil War ended in 1865. Now, let me back that up. War starts 1861. The Emancipation Proclamation saying that all slaves in the South are free. That's 1863. Emancipation Proclamation, 1863. Okay? The war ends 2 years later, where they're really free, in 1865. But in 1866, Fisk is born. Do you understand what they had to, first of all, who got educated fast enough to be able to do that? Now, I know they had help financially, teachers that came in and all that. But what I'm wanting you to get is how rapidly this happened. That it happened at all with any of the HBCUs that that collage, those two collages I showed you. That it happened, period. But that quickly, Black folks should never, ever think, when they pulled that off with all of the opposition you can think of, should never think that they can't accomplish. In Tennessee, in an area where the Confederate Army was just defeated, they start a university? When I was in Fisk, at Fisk, what impressed me most there was how important they made us feel and how far they went with it. And what I mean by that is, we go in, it's late when we get there, we go in and we're sitting in an auditorium, and they had a full choir come out and sing for us. I don't know what else these students had going on or whatever, but it mattered to them that we would know the pride they had in their school, what it meant to them. And I have a little cousin that's going to Fisk now. And that's what's amazing about that environment. It's not in an arrogant sense, not just Fisk, all the ones that I toured. I'm just kind of jumping ahead of myself. But one of the things that I understood is that they not just put a value on education, but on you, to make you feel proud of who you are and make you feel like you can achieve anything. To be in an environment like that, where it's not a cesspool, where, it's not crabs in a barrel, there's none of that going on. I had a friend of mine, I won't say his name, but he owns a very successful financial investment company here in Cincinnati. When you approach him, your investment at minimum needs to be $50,000. Why he let me in on it? Maybe because I was his pastor for a minute, and he was my assistant. He wanted his son to go into business just like him, maybe to take over his business when he got done. So his son had already started school, and I believe he was at Florida. And he talked to his dad. He told him what his desire was. And he decided to change his major because he'd been seeing children that had scars, or they what do you call that, cleft, whatever. And he wanted to be a plastic surgeon. So he changes his major, and when he walks into his first class of the new set so he can be on track for medical school, when he walks in the door, the professor introduces him to the class as Dr. Blank. He's a freshman, and he's being talked to like he's already there. Talk about calling things that be not as though they were. To be in that kind of encouraging environment that you're constantly being fed information that makes you believe in yourself, because they're calling you what you would be as if you are that right now. When I was at Florida A&M, one of the things I know, it's just big, beautiful. It's Florida, sunshine, huge campus. And one of the things that stood out to me was there was a personalized license plate on a car, and it was Philippians 4:13. I can do all things in Christ who strengthens me. I was just impressed by that. That okay, we're in this environment, it's kind of a secular but Christian environment, and he got his personalized license plate to express, his plate to express where he is. And I just thought that was just so cool. So cool. Really loved being there. All right. Bethune-Cookman. Oh my goodness. Daytona Beach, Florida. You can smell the ocean. We met with one of the administrators, and she was just you could tell, again, just the level of self-confidence. That I don't know how long she'd been there and in that position, but it was just a different feel. Again, when I'm not talking about arrogance at all, I'm just talking about this air of, I can do whatever needs to be done. Whatever you put in front of me, I can accomplish it. Just absolutely amazing. And then just down, below it or next to it, you cross the road and there's the water, man. It's just too much. I don't know how much studying I get done unless I was sitting on the beach with a book. Side note, they also have hard sand there, so they have races right on the beach. Now that, I'm a car guy. That I would definitely be there. Alabama State University. A couple of things happened there. We met a movie star from Heat of the Night. She was on the show at that time. She stopped what she was doing to talk to us, because she was also teaching there. But she stopped to have conversation, and the whole conversation was about us believing in ourselves. The whole conversation was about believing. I mean, I'm listening, believing in ourselves. Yes. I was grasping it just like the young, 11th, 12th grade kids I was with. I was grasping it just like them. It was just awesome. Now, and I hope he wouldn't mind, Joe Lee, who was the president of Alabama State at that time, is my cousin. Didn't go in to see him, sure wanted to. Didn't go over to see him or anything like that. We were trying to do what we need to do and get going. But just a blessing, just an absolute blessing. My cousin went have a first cousin that also, she went to Tuskegee University. So just I've got some connections with HBCUs for sure. All right. I'm going to give you some more names. We're going to close it out with this. All right. Let's look at some more folks that we know. Charles Oakley. Big dude, man. Charles Oakley, he played with New York with the Knicks. Virginia Union University is a retired NBA athlete. Denise Young Smith, Grambling State University. Apple's Vice President of Worldwide Human Resources. Who? Apple's Vice President, right? Even when you don't know the names, you see the great accomplishment, You know, if you happen to be young and you're watching this, you really should consider going to an HBCU. You should think about it, right? To help put you in the right frame of mind. Ricky Smiley with his crazy self. Alabama State University, good place to go. Stand-up comedian, actor, and radio personality. Wendy Raquel Robinson, television actress, famous for The Game. Got another one coming up in just a second that's an actress. Will Packer, Florida A&M University, film producer. Roberta Flack, Howard University. Do I really need to say anything else? Burt Bacharach just died. She did, a lot of different works with him and all that. But Roberta Flack, man, when I was growing up, she was, Patti LaBelle? The first kind of like that for me. Lance Gross, Howard University, actor, model, and photographer. David Banner, Southern University, rapper, record producer, and activist. George Alcorn, Howard University, inventor of the imaging X-ray spectrometer. Samuel L. Jackson. I'm not even going to say anything. You don't know who Samuel L. Jackson is. Evelyn F. Smalls, North Carolina Central University, CEO of United Bank of Philadelphia. Kimbo Slice, Bethune-Cookman University. He's mixed martial arts, boxer, and did some occasional acting. Debbie Allen, Howard University, actress, choreographer, television director, and producer. J.B. Smoove, Norfolk State University, actor, writer, and comedian. Now, you should know, I should have paused there. You should know who Debbie Allen is. Jackie Reed, Clark, Atlanta University, journalist, television and radio personality. Jerry Rice. This wasn't even planned. It's just close. You can see that? Right about there. Right about. This small camera. That's Jerry Rice. Just in case you can't see it. It's reflection of the light and all of that. Jerry stays close. There's a Jerry Rice figurine over there and a poster. Yeah, I got another. Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, greatest man ever put on a chin strap. Hall of Fame wide receiver. He was the absolute best. Marquette King Jr., Fort Valley State University, NFL punter for the Oakland Raiders. Keisha Knight Pulliam, Spelman College. Hadn't mentioned Spelman yet. Film and television actress. You should know who she is. Gladys Knight, Shaw University, award-winning singer, songwriter, and actress. Gladys Knight, Thurgood Marshall, Howard University, first African-American justice of the Supreme Court. Yeah, but he did all kinds of things pertaining to justice for black folks long before he got on the Supreme Court. He's a lawyer. And he fought for justice. That was one of the things that helped get him promoted to the level of being on the Supreme Court. Antoine Bethea, Howard University, NFL safety for the Arizona Cardinals. James A. Sills III, Morehouse University, CEO of Mechanics and Farms Bank in North Carolina. Right? Even when you don't know the names, big time. David Dixon, Howard University, first African-American mayor of New York City. Tony Braxton. You know who Tony Braxton is. You don't need any help there. Spike Lee, Morehouse College. He talks about it all the time, the education that he got there. Award-winning film director, producer, writer, and actor. Simone Missick, Howard University. Film and television actress, famous for her role in Luke Cage. I know exactly who she is, and has done some things since then. Reverend Jesse Jackson, North Carolina A&T State University, civil rights activist, which doesn't even begin to explain all of it. He was there when Martin Luther King was killed, right? And lastly, Pam Oliver. Now, Pam Oliver, if you watch sports, she's from Florida A&M University. You know, you watched during the football season, she's there every week for you to watch, learn, and observe from. She's awesome. So as you see, and I'll show you some others, as you see, there are so many great Black people that have contributed to society in great ways, having received an HBCU education. So I just say support HBCUs. I gotta get on my game. I do. I mean, you know, I got an individual that I'm being a blessing to, but wow, it's just amazing what they've accomplished, no matter what the obstacles were, and the heart, I'm trying to find the word for it, the encouragement, the attitude. Maybe you can come up with something better than I can, but I found it at every university that I went to. That Black pride, that understanding, that Black pride was an absolute fascinating thing to see. So we're going to continue with Black History Month. We're going to continue to look at different folks who will be moving into politics after we finish with the HBCUs. I've already got some videos and things that I want to show to you. If you're watching live right now, I'll load something up. That's the plan at 8 o'clock on Wednesday, but I am not going to be doing a live show. You pray for me because I am going to be doing some speaking elsewhere. Talk more about that later. But listen, I'm Pastor Jackie Jackson. I want to thank you so much, as always, beloved, for hanging out with me, getting this knowledge, this information about your own people. And tonight is just a blessing because we've talked about past and present, right? Where it started, but the results are still going on today. What happened with my mother at Southern Normal School, that education, that inspiration, that going on to college, that transferred and gives me the ability to be speaking to you tonight. The next generation is blessed by a good education. All right, I'm Pastor Jackson.